Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to The Porcupine with me, Adam Nutter. Hey, how are you? Good? I don't really care if you are or not. That's your fault. That's your problem. I don't know why you're here if you're not good. That's crazy. You should go do anything else if you're not feeling well. But if you are here, I guess I'll try to make you laugh. So, hey, all right. Speaking of making you laugh, follow me at Adam Nutter and all the social media stuff. Please come on out next Saturday. This is live. Next Saturday, New Hampshire, Rollinsford, right next to Portsmouth, right across the fucking little river from Maine. I'll be at the Shell headlining. Come on out. Get your fucking tickets. I actually have no idea how many are left or not or sold out of at all. Actually, I have no idea. No one told me anything. So go see. You can still get tickets. Probably still available. Go to droptent.com/events. Click the Shell. Get your fucking tickets. I'll be there with, of course, the great Neil Wood. Blaise Gagakis, Jesse Pedraza, and a guest appearance from Drew Thomas. Bunch of Philly guys. It's going to be a fucking banging show. And then May 13th, we'll be at Rexy's in Jersey. It's in Hollingswood, New Jersey. It's right across the fucking river from Philly. It's right. You could fucking throw a football from Philly and hit this fucking place. So coming out from Philly, if you're in Philly or the Jersey area, that's May 13th at Rexy's. And then the next day, May 14th, back at the Pop-In, Chalfont, also by Philly, coming out. We got Matt Himes is going to be there, Dave Permiano, and fucking somebody else. I don't remember. It's going to be a good show, though, I promise. And then May 28th, I'll be up in Bethlehem, PA, at the FOE Club, and a bunch of other shit in between. Those are the only things I can remember off the top of my head. It's pretty good for somebody with a bunch of fucking brain trauma, right? You know? Of course, go buy a shirt. Droptent.com/store. Get your Porcupine shirts or get your Disobey Your Local Nutter shirt from artwork by Top Lobster himself, the man, the myth, the legend, the Lobster. Go get it. Go support me. Please give me money. That'd be awesome. All right, guys, that's enough for me. My guest today from the Outlawed Thoughts podcast and my Alaskan brother bear from the polar bear region. Give it up for my man, Leighton Radner. What's up, dude?
Hey, how you doing? That's an interesting name for a place. Rexy's is kind of cool. That has a neat name.
Yeah, so they're like one of these places with they're like a restaurant / like venue.
Yeah.
And outdoors they have this fucking giant like tented area. It's like huge. It's like it's like a parking lot almost. It's like half a parking lot size. And we did a show there like earlier on in the year, and it was miserable because it was, even though it was like heated tent, like not really, you're outdoors still, and it's fucking January. Yeah. And you know, I'm like, this sucks because like, you know, like I don't want to wear a jacket and do comedy. So yeah, I usually wear a short sleeve shirt. So I have my jacket on, and I didn't realize like how cold the fucking tent was gonna be. So I walk in, I take my jacket off, like, nope, fuck that, right back the fuck on.
Not worth it.
Yeah, I can't live where you live, dude. I say it all the time. I bitched on Twitter the other day. It was 60 degrees here, and I was wearing like a hoodie. I was like, it's kind of cold.
I went to a 420 party yesterday that was outdoors, and it was like 30 degrees for the whole thing. I wore shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, but like, you know what it is? This is like what you were like. It's all relative, right?
Yeah, so, 100%. Because
like,
when I went to Florida, I was hot as shit.
Exactly. If your regular temperature is 0, dude, 30 is like 80.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And even like for PA, because I live right by Philly.
And like the 75 that I got in Florida was like 110. It felt like I was in Nevada again.
You're like, how are you guys not dying?
Yeah. You know, the humidity helps. I think that's why so many Alaskans migrate to Florida, because I've been to Vegas, and
yeah, Vegas is great. Love Vegas.
The weather in Vegas is so dry, the heat sucks. I hate it.
Oh, see, opposite. Love it.
Yeah, see, it's for me, it's the reverse.
Love it.
The humid heat was was way more enjoyable to me.
Dude, I love going to Vegas and going in the pool and then getting out of the pool and just being dry.
I have a bit of I have a pool story about Vegas. So we went and stayed in this shitty, I think it was called the Manor Hotel.
Well, I don't even know. I've been to Vegas, by the way, 7 times. I've never heard of the Manor Hotel.
So it is this little shithole outside of the main part of Vegas that does like weekly rentals. And so we were renting this place for a few months, hanging out there, just kind of enjoying ourselves and being cheap. And there was a pool at this place, but it was not heated. And this is winter in Nevada. And no one would use the pool or hot tub. It was just empty 24/7.
Yeah.
So me and my brothers would go down and use that damn thing. And I'd be in there.
Though.
Oh, I'd be in that thing, in the middle of the night. It'd be pitch black out, and people are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, the water's like 50 degrees.
That's crazy,
is fine.
Dude.
Like,
that's
this is
a legitimate polar bear.
That's a lake. Like here, if it's 65 out, you can go swim in the lake. Like that's what people do.
Crazy.
So it's not, to me, that's just not unheard of. That's normal. So
I don't know if I have like just poor circulation or something, but like I swear to God, as I got older and like the less muscle I gain and the skinnier I get, I just feel like I get cold so fucking easily. That's why, like, dude, the Northeast, it does suck. Like, it's cold 9 months out of the, it truly is cold 9 months out of the year. Or if it's not cold, but if it's not cold, then like not awesome. You know what I'm saying? So like,
right.
It still sucks. It's April. It's almost May. It still sucks. I literally look forward to the May temperature. It's still going to be like in the fucking 50s and 40s in like nighttime. That's not awesome. It doesn't get relatively consistently hot till like the 3rd week of June. And then it starts to get like cold again, like the September, like the end of September, like the 1st week of October. So we have like 3 months of like, this is pretty hot, huh? And then it's like, okay, I go back to fucking just being sad all the time.
Yesterday was it Seward, the town I'm in, has notoriously bipolar weather. You can get people on the news to tell you, oh, tomorrow is going to be like 60 degrees and sunny. And then you'll wake up and it'll be, snowing or pouring rain. So
yeah, it sucks. Also, we just did like weather talk like old men, and that was crazy.
It's great. Yeah,
I know. I didn't mean to, but I hate it. It's like a true pet peeve of mine is like the bipolarness of weather. It goes beyond like weather conversation, like weather small. I'm like, no, I really want to kill myself. Like if I go from putting the top down on my fucking Bronco and wearing no sleeves to literally the next day fucking sleet, I'm gonna kill myself. Yeah. So whoever is in charge of the weather, the government,
the Jews,
cut it out. Cut it out. Make it hot or cold. Just make it consistent. Just all I'm asking for. Just make it consistent. Anyway,
well, they can't. That's why that's how you know that the Jews are in charge of it, because every time it gets too cold, they complain and they kick it back to the other side. And then when it gets too warm, they complain. They kick it back the other side.
I feel like the power struggle between the deep state and the Jews, and the deep state's like, no, we gotta make it warm, and they're like, no, do what? We gotta put it cold, and they're like, no, it's not the plan. The plan's
it's just
hot.
A Saudi guy on one end of the fence or one end of the switch, and an Israeli guy on the other side. And then just Reagan in the middle, smacking in their hands.
This is the joke that gets me a strike on YouTube. And all the things I've ever said on this, that's going to be it.
Hey, I'm like, Jewish.
Jews don't control weather.
This is being said by a Jew. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you our dirty ways.
All right, no, enough weather talk. Leighton, thanks for coming on. You have a great podcast. I was a guest on recently, the Outlawed Thoughts podcast. You're a young dude. You're 24, 30?
22.
Whatever. Fuck off. It annoys me. I hate you for being 22. It's so awesome. Dude, the other day, not even the other day, today, I was reminiscing about my 20s. I'm like, dude, that was awesome. And then I looked in the mirror, I have gray in my beard. I'm like, fuck. Every day is worse. Like, my neck pain gets worse. My fucking back pain gets worse. I'm like, God damn it. 22 rocked.
It is weird because everybody I've seen to have met in person within the Liberty Movement has all said the exact same thing, which is they thought I was like 30.
Yeah, I'm 35. It sucks. But Dave's kind of right. I feel like a boomer. Shannon says you're young enough to be his kid, which yeah, you are. That's crazy. But like this is my my question to you and all the other young guys. Like I told this to Dave Brady before he was even younger than you. I was like, you guys got in the movement like early, like passionately early, which is I guess good, but also like what the fuck made you be like as a 22-year-old, or even because you obviously didn't get into it 22, you got into it younger.
Right.
So what made you even younger than 22 be like fucking liberty and like politics and like fucking Ron Paul? Because me at 22, like I was involved in the world, but like I was like pussy. Like that's all I cared about. Like, like pussy in sports, dude. Like, let's go. Like I didn't give a shit. So like, why
I think that might. Well, that you just touched on something that might have something to do with it, but we'll go through it. But so at like 17, I was starting to get politically active, starting to think about kind of that stuff. I started making money, and you start to realize how much of your cash is going to weird places. You start to look at kind of what's going on. And I was already listening to Legion of Skanks. And so I got introduced to Dave Smith through that. Started listening to his show, started listening to Tom Woods. I actually kind of stopped listening to everything for about 6 months when I went on a kind of hiatus to just read, which was kind of when I went through and started reading through different books and just learning about the philosophy behind the stuff. But for me, I guess it came from just feeling the need to know what I was talking about when it came to politics, because I was getting in a lot of debates with people my own age at the time. And the more that I got involved in politics, the older the people that I was conversating with got. I stopped kind of hanging out with, I don't hang out with anybody my own age. Everybody I hang out with is in their fucking 40s or 50s, it's like, because I just find myself not really conversating too well with younger people in my own kind of age bracket. But the thing you touched on, which was the caring about pussy thing, I just don't care about relationships. I've always been kind of I don't want to use the term fucking asexual because I think that's gay shit. But I'm going to just use the term of just not interested in people. I just don't really I'm interested in the philosophy and the people and what they do, but I'm not interested in being involved with the emotional side of stuff.
That's interesting. Okay, so I guess my follow-up to that is, and I'll tell you why I was, because I grew up in Staten Island, which is a fucking Italian-filled, fucking very jockey,
Right, I grew up in a little cabin in the woods. So yeah. I think that might probably, that probably most definitely has something to play in there.
I grew up around all my friends' older brothers, just talking about like clubbing, that was the thing, in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was in a young kid, early teens, and they were all 21, 22, 25. They're going to fucking Electric Factory, going to fucking Crowbar, going to fucking here, going to all these now closed clubs in Manhattan. At the time, they were the club, Sound Factory was the Sound Factory. It was the club. And you hearing them being yo, I fucked this chick in the bar. I fucked this chick. And you grow up listening to that, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to just go out, fuck chicks, and fucking play football and shit. And that's what you do. And that's what I grew up thinking I'm supposed to do. It was I was in my mid-20s, oh, that's not important. None of this is really important. None of this is important at all.
I think I just probably came to that realization a little earlier because I didn't really ever have those relationships growing up because of where I grew up. So I didn't really ever assign a value to them,
Yeah.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I'm fucking
not here. It isn't.
Yeah, me either. I have a card, nerds. Which is a bummer because I can't have a gun because I have a card.
Is that how it works over there?
Well, the state doesn't care, right?
But
the feds do. So the state can't federally sell it. They can't sell you a gun because they'll lose their license because they have to federally have a license. So you could drink yourself into a stupor and just walk out into the street and start shooting, but I can't smoke weed and have a gun.
Yeah, they solved that problem here by not requiring concealed carry permits.
Is that that can't be the reason? Is that the reason?
We don't have concealed carry permits.
No, but is that the reason why it's illegal here still?
Because think about it this way, right? when you apply for an FFL to purchase a firearm, the feds have to run a background check on you. So I imagine what is happening is they're running that background check and it's popping up that you have a prescription for marijuana because you have the card. And so it nixes you because they won't allow, I think they, just like alcohol, like I know a lot of YouTubers who got in trouble back in the mid, 2014, 2013, that era, because they had guns on their walls behind them in their videos and they drank on their shows. So the YouTube community was like, well, this is technically incorrect firearm safety and stuff like that because you're drinking around firearms and you're doing it on video.
Prove it's a real gun.
Well, that's exactly what I would argue in court, but YouTube never has to worry about that because no one's going to fucking take them to court. So they just, because they got 230 protection and all that bullshit.
Right.
So they should probably have to go to court for something like that, but they'll never have to. And so it makes it kind of difficult from that angle.
This is, I guess, topical. I do want to go back into your background more, but I mean, just real quick, what do you think about Elon Musk pushed for the Twitter thing, and also him talking about like Netflix? You didn't realize he was talking about Netflix recently about like Netflix is kind of tanking, huh? Like, what do you think that's something we need? Like a guy like that who's like pro speech and to buy shit out?
I think it's needed because it proves to a certain extent that if Elon Musk was unsuccessful in buying Twitter, it proves substantially in the marketplace something we as libertarians can point to as exactly the problem with crony capitalism, because he should be able to purchase the company, right? The only thing that's going to stop him from purchasing the company is not the interest of the shareholders, but rather the board members. And that's really not how, in my opinion, many companies would run themselves if not for the way the government gets involved with them. I think it's good because even if he's unsuccessful, it will give us something to point towards that we've been saying for a long time. And if he is successful, it gives us a point to take a look at and say, hey, well, here's somebody who's a capitalist who made his money, who actually was able to fight back against some of the stuff that we disagree with from a moral standpoint. So that's good too. So it's kind of a win-win in my book for libertarians. Either it gives us a point of contention to point to as proof that this cronyist system is there and alive and well, or it gives us something to be, I guess, hopeful of.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like the whole. It is also funny. Like the left is like it's a private company, and then when he tries to buy it, they're like, "Hey."
Well, that's exactly why it puts on full display that they're just like it has nothing to do with money,
right?
Like, and I've been saying this about Disney forever. Like Disney's losing money constantly, but they don't care because as long as they can make money off the parks to replenish that, they'll blow money on movies and films that are busts just to change the social kind of skewing of the world. But if you look at the parks are still making money. People are still showing up to them. Florida is now making a stride that could actually hurt the parks. And that's been the biggest impact I think we've seen from that angle in a while. That's a little interesting that Desantis kind of moved to kind of kneecap Disney.
Yeah, I saw with the tax stuff, which, by the way, did they not have to do anything? Like, I don't understand. Like, what was their exemption? Nothing? They just had to pay nothing?
The situation is that they were given their city status and their self-governance back before the Florida Constitution and any of that stuff was around.
Are they like a Vatican?
Yeah, pretty much.
No way. They don't operate within, like, U.S. law? Like, they have their own law?
They operate within U.S. law, but they have their own security force. They have their own fire department. They don't
have an armed security force, do they?
Oh, they absolutely do. Yeah,
they have armed people who work for.
Yes.
You never see them. Then
cops. They have full on like police officers.
But isn't that just Orlando PD?
No. That is
out of here.
That is their own
Disney
private
PD.
Police force. Yes, because
dude, if you get arrested by the Disney police force, you should kill yourself in the jail cell. But it'd be great if you had to hang yourself with something like whimsical.
Yeah,
like a balloon or something like that. That'd be funny. Like
you're gonna
candy,
cut up
like
Mickey Mouse
Kathy.
bed sheets.
Yeah.
You're cutting up Mickey Mouse bed sheets in your fucking cell.
You're like sad. You're like, this is kind of cute, right? As you
There's just a line of people it's just a line of people hung on walls with fucking with the bunny ears on or whatever, the mouse ears.
That's your mugshot.
Your mugshot.
You have to wear like turn to your left and like sir fits the ears.
George Alpio did fucking pink prison outfits, and Walt Disney does fucking ears.
You think they like fucking louse you down like with fucking sugar and flour and shit? Like, get in the cell. They fucking hose you down and shit. That'd be so funny, dude.
Crouch and cough. Dude, some big fucker with Mickey Mouse ears comes out and snaps his glove. He's like.
The Disney Police Department is like the most brutal, like over the top, forceful police department in the country. You find out
with the amount of gay people that work at Disney, I would be very afraid of getting a rectal cavity search in that jail.
Yo, you know who? Do you remember? You're young, but you might know the story. In the '90s, there was Amadou Diallo and NYPD.
God,
shoved the fucking thing up his ass.
Fucking familiar. I think I've heard about this, but
so they took this guy into the bathroom in like the 7-5 or 7:30. I forgot what precinct it was in Brooklyn, and like they pretty much sodomized him with a fucking baton. And shit.
I remember reading about this, but the details.
Okay, that's pretty much it. That's it. That's the gist, dude.
Well, fuck him.
One of the dudes, Volpe, was from Staten Island, and his mom was my art teacher in high school. His mom was she might be dead. She was older back then. I don't know if she might be alive. The sweetest fucking person alive. And his brother also was a teacher at the school who was the coolest dude in the world. It was so weird. It was so fucking wild. Yeah, really weird. But that'd be funny if Disney PD was doing that. Just fucking batoning people's assholes in the fucking cells in Disney.
Yeah, but so they have this self-governance clause where they can kind of do their own thing, but it existed before the Florida Constitution. So what Desantis did was
they had their own Delta Force. That'd be pretty funny too.
he didn't say we're going to get rid of he didn't target Disney directly, right? He is, but he's not. Because what the actual bill simply says that any self-governance that existed before the Florida Constitution was signed into effect will have to be renegotiated. So, and from what I understand, the only self-governance in that way in Florida pre the Constitution is Walt Disney World. Makes sense. It's pretty genius the way that they've gone about it. It's going to be interesting to see what Disney can even do. Disney has so much money invested in Florida, and it's not like they can pick up and move certain aspects.
They literally can't pick up anything.
But the rides are there.
Right.
They can't move any of that. The Disney in Florida is built on 2 floors. When you're in Disney, you're actually on the 2nd floor. There's a complete underground at Disney. Right. The reason they did that is because they had to do that because the land in Florida didn't give them any coverage to build tunnel systems and tramway carts for how big the park was, which is something they really don't have to deal with in Disneyland because it's a little bit smaller. So they had to basically put the entire fucking thing on stilts. And the problem with that is that they can't really move the majority of the aspects of the park. So when this self-governance goes away, Osceola County, I believe, is the one that's going to take control over their whole shit show. They're going to be susceptible to their police officers now, which means people are going to die at Disney for the first time. Which is interesting.
Well, not the first time. A child was eaten by a crocodile.
So if you don't know,
alligator, whatever.
There's a dirty history in Disney World and Disneyland of not letting people die in the parks.
Right, they take them off, right? Property.
Right. There's even stories from Disney World of them sinking bodies to the bottom of the fountain that's in Disney World overnight so that they could remove the body without guests being in the park.
Dude, not for nothing. Part of me goes, yo, That's kind of awesome. Disney's like, yo, we ain't doing this shit here. Like, I appreciate
get it.
the level of work that they put into
Right.
it, but like,
It's purely
for sure.
it is purely publicity. And so I think it would be kind of funny to just see how many people start dropping dead.
Oh yeah.
Like, how many people has this been going on to? Is Osceola County going to have like thousands of deaths in the first like year? They're like, oh my God. And how many of them are children?
Oh yeah, good question. Well, we're gonna find out, I guess.
Yeah, because this is the other thing that I keep bringing up to people is Disney definitely attracts a certain type of employee. And when you have any kind of job where you have easy access to kids, that's always something I'm concerned about. And you see all these people getting caught up in these Florida stings and arrested and shit. My question is, what are you going to see happen when that is under control of a different police force? One that isn't from the county previous, that isn't paid for by Disney.
Yeah,
Are they going to start? Are they going to start investigating some of this stuff and find a lot more than they were previously? That would be something I'd be interested to see.
It's not like Disney can't buy them out either, though. Like,
it's a little harder just because I think the economic aspect of it comes more into play when they're dealing with another county. They're going to have to negotiate, and that's something Disney doesn't like doing, and it's something Disney hasn't done in a very long time with like a government. They haven't had to sit down and negotiate any of this kind of stuff with anybody since the 60s. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they might try to renegotiate the self-governance clause with Florida, and if they do that, then theoretically Desantis could have them by the balls.
Right.
Because he could say, well, I'm not going to reinstate your self-governance unless you do this, this, and this.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, I don't see the problem. Like, everything that Desantis is doing is like, it's that problem of like, I agree with what he's doing, but the fact that he's using all like the government the way he's using it, and like, because like that could be just used right back the other way eventually, and it's gonna be like, like some fucking lib's gonna get in there. That's the problem.
I think Disney's reaction to the quote unquote the child protection bill that they put through in Florida, that was the initial kind of jolt that kicked this all into effect. And I think what we saw with that is DeSantis's take, in my opinion, is that by them openly saying that they wanted to affect the bill that he was attempting to get passed, that they were doing the bid of the outside government of Florida, right? So his outlook on it is, as long as the people in Florida support what he's doing and it's going to get him reelected, he can just keep doing it. So it is using the power of the government, and whoever comes along after him could theoretically use this exact same kind of dirty tactics in a way against, say, conservative businesses in the area, things like that. Or they could use it to utilize against Disney's competition in the future, things like so. It is definitely a dangerous game to play.
Well, we saw that in Texas and California, right? When Texas was like with the abortion thing, and then California was like, "Cool, we're doing that with guns," and everyone was like, shit."
Well, it's kind of like the sanctuary state angle, right?
Right.
Like you have the sanctuary states for immigration, but like I think you're getting into a real slippery space when you start applying that same logic to everything else, right? And if you do it for the one thing, why can't we do it for this other thing? And so that's that's something I think we'll see a lot more of, especially leading into what's going to be a pretty insane election season during 2024 and all of that. So
and like Netflix losing money, Disney losing money, like a lot of I hate being like the everything's woke bro guy, but like
kind of is. Yeah.
Right? Like, did you watch Peacemaker?
Yes. I watched the first 3 episodes. So I watched up until the point where he cries on the bed.
Okay.
Yeah, that was where I stopped it.
It was good. And then the last episode, I think it was the last episode.
I had some issues with his character from the movie versus the TV show. I was like, it seemed like a different character. Like they didn't want, like they reverted him back a little too far.
Well, because they needed to make him more likable.
Yeah, they needed to make him more likable, and I get that, but I just I don't know. The crying scene was enough for me. I was like, what? This guy was brutally killing people, and he's like crying.
The show explains it.
Yeah, they do. They do.
I like it.
The dick joke the dick joke they make right after that was hilarious.
Yeah, and also, what's his Vigilante was fun. I mean, he was like a knockoff Deadpool, whatever. Yeah. Still, I mean,
no, it wasn't an unenjoyable show, but I did get told by another person who watched it that the end was horrible.
Yeah, so the Amanda Waller's daughter in the show, she goes into speech with him, and she's like, I forgot exactly what she says, but she's like, "You're pretty cool, except if you weren't like some, you have some far right wing libertarian."
Oh, Jesus Christ!
And she says libertarian right wing.
I should have kept watching.
It was like the last episode, and I went, there it is. I was like, I made it the whole fucking season, going pretty good. No woke shit.
Yeah, I've been seriously disappointed with specifically Marvel.
Star Wars too.
Loki, Star Wars, the basically all the TV shows.
Loki
that they attempted to make
for me as others.
I just don't like. I have a legitimate problem with I'm a comic nerd to an extent.
No, dude, I have a giant comic book collection. I mean, literally over $25,000 worth collection.
Yeah, because my mom was really into comic books, so she's the one who got me into it. And so I don't mind when they make movies that are not lining up with the comics. That doesn't really bother me all that much. I know it does a lot of people, but my outlook on it is like, well, we can't expect them to always use the same source material. Eventually, somebody's going to want to do something different. But Loki in particular pissed me off because I was like, here's this character we watched build up over these Avenger movies that and we've seen kind of get more emotional and get more, involved. And then they're just like, oh, and here's a female version of him that we're going to slowly, and then there's like the incest thing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Because they clearly are like they kiss, I think, at one point in the show, but they're literally the same person. And I'm like, so how does this work? Like, this is a question we used to ask each other on the internet all the time.
Yeah, I took that as like an ego thing. Like,
yeah, well, it definitely is. It definitely is.
And narcissistic that I'm going to make out of myself.
I feel like they're trying to replace the character. And then at the end of it, you have the introduction of Kang and the TVA and all that. And it's like, so if Kang is doing all this, right? If Kang is the one that's orchestrating all this stuff behind the scenes, then what about Thanos and Endgame and Infinity War and all the stuff that we just watched? So then is all that useless?
No, wait, is that what they said he was, or he just
so
the orchestrating it, or he just knew
the TVA was orchestrating.
I kind of forgot the show a little bit. Sorry,
the TVA, the time travel organization.
Them I remember. Yeah,
they're the ones that are orchestrating and stopping all these world events from happening and stuff. And then at the end, it turns out that Kang is the one that's in charge of the TVA, and he's been the one that's been manipulating a bunch of this stuff behind the scenes. But if the universe is quote unquote under his control, which is what he says in the thing, I'm like, well, then what about all the shit that we just watched previous? So then is this not the same kind of canon, or are they going to introduce that later on? Deadpool not being in stuff is a little irritating for me because they can't.
Well,
they're kind of stuck. He will be, but we don't know how because they're kind of stuck. They have this rated R character that, in my opinion, you kind of have to have rated R.
Agreed.
That they have to now put into Avengers movies and stuff like that are PG-13. And I don't see how they're going to do that with me still liking the character the same way.
Because Disney already said they're still going to make him rated R for his own movie.
Mm-hmm.
So Deadpool 3 will be rated R, and that would probably be good. And if you throw him in with the Avengers, you could limit his involvement where he'll still be funny enough and impactful enough where it's not going to really matter. If you're not soloing him as an Avenger, then it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Have you seen the new Batman?
I did.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on HBO Max, and I've been like, I like The Lighthouse with Robert Pattinson in it. It was a good movie, but I hate Twilight with a burning passion, and so
irrelevant.
I'm
telling you. He was actually possibly my second favorite Batman.
everybody I've seen has said he's good.
Yeah.
No one said that was their complaint. So I'm gonna watch it probably tonight.
So he's like, no, Christian Bale is just jacked for Batman. Like Christian Bale's like, yo, I'm Batman.
I don't think Pattinson can do that.
Pattinson was like more like shredded and like svelte for the suit, and it made it almost more. I know, even though Christian Bale wasn't faking his muscle, it just made it be like, yeah, if Batman was real, he'd probably be just more like a ripped guy. You can't. There's no way to be able to keep up that muscle.
You might hate me for this, but my favorite Batman is Keaton.
No, he's my third. I don't hate you for that. I don't hate you for that at all. He was my second until Pattinson.
So Keaton, to me, for Batman, I just love the Joker in his movies. I love the like ambiance. That was always my favorite like version of the comics too. So I think but the detective angle is what I want to see them explore. And I heard that's what this movie was.
So the first 3/4 of the movie was very much not like a Batman movie, which is cool. It was like a horror thriller detective film.
That's okay.
The last quarter though, you're like, here's the Batman movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like I'm
excited.
Not really
I'm excited
super away here, but like at the last quarter of the movie, like there's like, they're fighting like on top of like essentially what MSG is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like the rafters, like with shit falling down. You're like, okay,
cool.
This is the Batman movie. Like here it is.
Cool.
Here's the superhero part. Great. But it was good. It was well put together and shit like that. It was cool. Dude, Colin Farrell was fucking great as Penguin.
So that is when I saw the trailer for the movie, I didn't see his like tagline, so I didn't know that was him until like the second trailer, and I was like, holy shit.
Dude, he was so and he put on like this not a talent, because like the whole thing was like he was like Falcone's like right hand man.
Yeah. Have you
seen a great Gotham? Take? What?
Have you seen Gotham?
No, because it looked gay.
It's actually worth watching. It's a pretty interesting. It's not really about Batman. It's kind of about Gotham.
Right.
And I like that line of kind of thinking. It kind of has an old school cop show vibe to it. But it's a little more serious. I didn't think I was going to like it because I just hadn't liked any of the DC TV show stuff. And that's probably the only one that I would rewatch. I liked it.
Yeah, there's like because most DC things is shit. They suck.
Yeah.
Most DC.
So like with Marvel too, it's like I like Daredevil, Punisher. Both of those were really good. The shows they did on Netflix. The first season of Luke Cage was pretty good. I didn't care for like the Iron Fist. I think they realized pretty quickly that they were going to have to start their own streaming service, and it just threw such a huge wrench into those productions.
Yeah,
that they now are basically just making CW shows with a higher budget.
Exactly. Yeah, because like arguably those two fight scenes in Daredevil in season 1 and 2, the hallway fight scene and then the stairwell fight scene, arguably, in my opinion, two of the best fight scenes in any cinematic version of anything.
Those fight scenes and the bus fight scene from the movie Nobody, I go back and watch sometimes and go, how the fuck did they film this?
Dude, that one shot. Me and my dad. My dad still lives in Staten Island. I live in Pennsylvania. So I just jumped on like a fucking a StreamYard thing with him. I was like, "Yo, you want to watch the fucking Daredevil fight scene?" He's like, "Yeah." Like we just watched the fucking hallway.
Have you seen that movie with Bob Odenkirk called Nobody?
No, I want to watch.
You are gonna fucking love that movie if you love fight scenes.
Yeah.
Holy shit. There is a bus fight scene with him and these 4 Russian guys. You cannot watch that fight scene without wanting to punch a fucking wall. I challenge anybody to watch that fight scene without going, I want to be there.
Even in Punisher, when he fights the prisoners, you're like, yo, it's so brutal. Man. Yeah, fucking Stan chimed in. I only liked Iron Fist. Shut up, Stan. No, you didn't. Shut up.
That's so bad. That was my least favorite to comic book adaptation that they did, because they just butchered the comic books.
Oh yeah.
They didn't care.
The problem with a lot of those though, dude, like it was like too long.
Yeah,
like 8 episodes ended. Why is it 13? It's crazy.
Be done. They didn't need to, and they draw that out. That was the problem with Luke Cage too. Like Luke Cage should have been a 1-season show. They could have stretched that season out a little bit longer and been done.
Yeah, well, the problem with Luke Cage too is like the problem with a lot of these guys is no cool villain. So there's
yeah, you're
I mean,
right. They
what's his
can't
face?
make villains
Mahershala
anymore, though.
Ali is cool. Like he's a great actor, but like my whole point is like he was great in that role he did, but it's not like it's not like he was a physical threat to Luke Cage or anything like that. It was just a
Right.
whole more
Yeah,
of a, like,
he
power thing. And that
one
was
of the biggest problems I have with that show is the fact that that guy gets killed by being thrown out a window by his sister. Some like
right.
165-pound chick who's like, it doesn't really make logical sense. I'm like, well, this is like, I don't know, this guy's like a mob tycoon and he just lets himself get like offed.
Right.
Like,
Easily
I don't
by
know.
some yeah, by some
Yeah,
chick. Yeah, it's
yeah,
great.
like he
But yeah,
doesn't have security in the room with him at any point. Like,
all those minus Daredevil has Bullseye, which is
yeah.
arguably a great villain.
Oh, God.
But everyone else is like fucking just whatever. Like Punisher doesn't really count because Punisher fights everybody. So you could put any villain in there and it'll work. But like Iron Fist doesn't really have anybody really, Luke Cage
The
doesn't really have
biggest
anybody. Jessica
disappointment
Jones.
of all the shows that have been made is on Jessica Jones was actually all right.
That
show was decent. It was too long. It should have been a season, same deal. The one that I had, or a couple seasons, that one you could have done 2 on, I think.
But shorter seasons.
Yeah, but in general. The one issue I had was one of the big ones that I just lost it now. It was a DC show, not Moon Knight, but another one that just came.
It's Marvel.
Moon Knight is, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there's a DC one that you know what it is? It's Titans. On HBO Max, HBO Max, they made a version of Teen Titans that they wanted to put out called Titans, which is them a little bit older, and it's like it's kind of the classic-ish storylines from the comic book. The problem is it is a fucking CW show through and through. I mean, this shit looks like people in tights running around in a rented mansion. Like it doesn't look good. And DC has a problem with low budget shows. Marvel has a problem with spending so much money and then having shit dialogue and storytelling.
Right.
So it's like they're opposites.
Which I'll again, I'm such a fucking dumb nerd. I'll die on this hill, but like when you watch again a lot of these movies or shows, a lot of the problem is lack of cool villain. There's so little cool villains out there.
I don't think they can make villains anymore. I don't think they can put them on television. Because to make a real comic book
shit,
villain,
like PC shit,
no, a real comic book villain has to be evil, and I don't think they want to put that on screen. Right, the type of evil that they seem to want to put into media these days have to involve war or sexual assault or something of those natures. Right, woke shit. Whereas evil from comic books was always about I'm going to end the human race. I'm going to blow up the planet. I'm going to destroy Gotham. I'm going to wreck Metropolis. Right? It was always about some specific bad event taking place or somebody who was just driven towards chaos. They can't really make that anymore. Because not to push their message.
I didn't watch the second Venom movie because I love Carnage. He's I always say he's tied for my favorite villain with the Joker because I kind of because both guys like chaos.
I have it still, but I have I think I have the holographic like Venom one they did where it's Venom and Carnage fighting on the front cover of it.
Yeah,
and it's like all holographic and sparkly. That was like my favorite cover one.
Yeah, like I love the character of Carnage because it was true. Like, I have no message.
No, it's chaos.
It's just I want to just cause legitimate chaos. Like Joker's like kind of the same, right? But not really, because Joker's like I have an overall philosophy.
He has his relationship with Batman,
right? Is a whole thing. But Carnage is like, no, I don't give a fuck. He's like, I'll kill you anything. Just put it in front of me.
Just break shit.
Which, for a comic book villain, is exactly what you want. You want some almost unstoppable force who's like, I don't give a shit. I kill indiscriminately. Stop me. And you need a team of fucking heroes to take this thing. That's what makes it cool. And so, like the Venom movie, I know they had Carnage as a villain, and like I'm like, I don't even give a shit. I know this isn't the Carnage I want to see. I can't prove that because I didn't watch the movie, but I can almost guarantee I'm right. I can almost guarantee that's not the Carnage I want to see. First of all, with that, you need Spider-Man too.
I have yet to watch the new Venom, but I have a couple friends that watched it. Their comments were that it's basically just the first movie over again, but with Carnage in it. They didn't really it's just the same story twice, which is kind of another thing. Again, it's they spend these big budgets, but they don't put any work into dialogue or storytelling. because I don't think they can. If you're trying to spread the message that especially like Marvel and Disney and these companies that have gone kind of woke have been doing, you can't do it without losing money, like, because people just don't want to buy this shit. So if they
Thanks, Shannon.
if they were putting out movies and TV shows and comics still to this day that had the messaging they did, say, 30 years ago, I think these companies would still be wildly successful in those fields. But right now they're not. Like in the comic book field, they are absolutely destroyed. Comic books are dead now. Manga has replaced the majority of the comic book industry, and that's because the Japanese artists and the Japanese dialogue writers are not afraid to just write the way they've been writing.
Dude,
and
yeah,
the people on our end, they can't do that, right? Because they have to put out a message. If they want to put out that message, they have to alter their work, and if they alter their work, they're not going to make any money.
So just like I'm not a big gamer. Like I play games, but like I'm not like a gamer. Like like I play like NHL.
Anybody
like,
who knows The Last of Us 2 knows exactly what's going on with Marvel and DC.
Okay, so I was just gonna say like IGN used to be a great source for you. Like now they are just woke trash, right? Complete woke trash. I still follow them on Instagram and Twitter just to poke fun at it, kind of.
Yeah,
See what
they've just become they've became the gaming version of BuzzFeed.
Yes, exact. Great analogy.
Yeah.
Yes, they are the gaming version of BuzzFeed. That's perfect. They just put out an article being like, DC comic sales way down, like after gay Superman's son, and they went this whole article about like how we're pieces of shit for not accepting, and we're like, no, it's because it's trash. How about that?
No, it's because it's garbage, and I don't want to see the son of Superman sucking dick.
Exactly. Like I don't.
Not,
I didn't like Superman, by the way.
I'm not a huge Superman guy. I never was. I always like Dr. Manhattan better than Superman.
100%.
That's my own thing. Dr. Manhattan was gritty. Superman was too pretty boy for me. That was.
I have a great shirt that, of course, I have two of the same, one sleeves, one without sleeves, and it's a great still from the comic book, the novel of him just fucking staring out into nothing.
Do you have the Malice comic book?
No.
So I'm trying to track down a copy of that because I want to get one signed. I need to.
Wait, Michael Malice did a comic. I did like
so Harvey Pekar did a comic book thing for Malice about his life, and it was released, but there's not very many copies of it. It's like $400 or $500, but I'm trying to hunt down one of them.
No, I just have the. Actually, I have the first one graded, like the first Watchmen number one graded, and then I just have like the trade back, like of like the novel, like that, because I like it's not worth me actually tracking down the other physical individual series.
Right.
The first one's the only one I need, and I got it.
If I wanted to collect comic books from the financial angle, that's the stuff you get into. But if you're collecting them for kind of more the sentimental angle and keeping the financial stuff to the side, then your collection tends to be way cooler.
Yeah,
so you have more eclectic stuff.
I agree. So what I do is like I have a collection, but I sell too. So what I sell is doubles of anything I have, or or if I get like a nicer version, I'll keep that and sell the other version. Or if I have, because my dad and I have been collecting comic books since like the fucking 80s. I mean, him since the 80s. Me since
that was
the 90s.
right around the time my mom would have been into it too.
Right. So there's a shit ton of even like issues of stuff that I don't give a fuck about, like Gen 13 and like Wildcats and stuff. That's worth money though. But I have them now. I got them graded, and I'm just gonna be like, well, here's easy. Literally thousands of dollars. Actually, I'll probably get out of it. It's gonna take me it's gonna take me a few months, but I'll get thousands of dollars out of it.
The market now, especially for old issues of comics, are through the fucking roof. So it's like it's a seller's market right now for all that stuff.
I think my most valuable comic is the very first appearance of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So I've had that forever.
Right.
No one gave a shit about it.
It's kind of racist too.
Well, the cover is mad racist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that have the Mushu?
It's a
fork
dragon.
mustache
It's
on the.
like a dragon.
It's the okay.
It's the
Okay,
dragon.
I know
But,
the cover.
But Shang-Chi's on the cover, and he looks like super
Yeah,
Asian. Though. Like they're like, we're gonna
it's
make this guy really Asian.
yeah.
We're gonna hammer this point home. Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
guy's
fucking,
Asian.
but that's probably why that went up in value so much, is because that movie flopped too. On top of it, I mean, the movie they did flopped completely.
No
But
villain.
everybody, yeah, exactly, and everybody called out that actor who played him, and stuff like that. And one of the things they called them out about was those comic books. They were talking shit about Marvel, like, well, this is how the character used to be, like,
Right.
and so those comic books, I imagine, like, just off of that alone will probably become more scarce because people will want to just own that piece of art
Right.
because of what it is. You know?
And it's like so like, dude, I had the first appearance of Hobgoblin. That's it might be my second most valuable comic, but it's like in the thousands of dollars now. Like it's crazy how much these. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
I
dude,
have
had
a
this since
couple-
fucking forever.
I
Like,
have a
it's-
couple vinyl albums that I was like a little taken aback value wise when I started looking into it.
That's a great question. If I had to give up one, would it be Converses or comics? Converses. It would
Yeah,
hurt,
because
it would hurt my soul.
you can, like, worst case, switch to Vans.
I would go to
It's not
Vans.
gonna
But
be the end of the
I would
world.
hate it. I would hate it though. I would hate it. But I had to keep comics. Like you got to keep comics. That's a good
So
question.
here's a fun fact. Do you know that Converse actively just butt fucks the government?
That makes me like them even more.
So Converses have fuzzy shit on the bottom of the shoes, right? If you buy Converses new, they've got this like fuzzy material. Like it's not quite slick rubber on the bottom of the shoe.
Yeah.
The reason behind that isn't because of manufacturing. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with because there's a tax that the government put forward to where a shoe is taxed differently from a slipper. So a Converse is technically a slipper because the majority of the bottom of the sole is not rubber, technically speaking.
Oh,
They have covered it with a felt shit with that fuzzy stuff.
dude,
That
that's a
fuzzy
great troll.
stuff puts them in a different tax bracket for their shoes.
Fuck
From
yeah,
like a
good for Converse,
30%
dude.
tax to like a 2% tax. It's
That's
insane.
wild.
Yeah.
Speaking of woke shit, because we just went on a fucking 20-minute comic rant. Either people love that or hated it. That was a real 50-50 we just took.
I haven't had a good comic book cover. It was like when you went on my show and we started talking about comedy. I haven't had a good comedy conversation in fucking forever.
Yeah, dude, I love talking comic books. Like, I would love to do like something like that, but like not on this, not on the Porcupine platform, but like something else I would like to do, like a comic.
Yeah,
You know what
like
I'm saying?
kind of like
Just
how. Well, the culture war stuff in general ties into the comic book conversation. So
Well, I was going to bring up. I was just going to say, so bringing it back to politics a little bit. People were like, "Thank you." I did tune into the show, listen to you guys talk a little bit about politics. And we only got like 10 minutes left, so we could wrap it up on this topic. But like the whole how the left infiltrated fucking culture, art. All that shit. Movie, obviously, it falls in that.
I think,
and the right never gave a fuck about it, and they fucked up, not caring.
Right, the right didn't give a shit, and by not giving a shit, they allowed the left to kind of trample through things. I mean, all throughout, like for instance, going back to Cold War and shit like that, where you had a lot of like communist involvement in media and stuff like that. It's all, it's all still there. All that indoctrination stuff, all the, political groups within Hollywood and media are all still there. So I don't think you can ever really get rid of that. I think what has to happen is, the consumers, the people who are buying this stuff really have to be the one to make those changes. So if people stop going to Disney, if they stop subscribing to their online platforms, and we just saw CNN Plus just announced that they're in April shutting down their subscription service. That's a perfect example of what needs to happen with Disney Plus and all those other streaming services. If the content you're getting there can be gotten other ways, not telling anybody to do anything illegal, but
right,
you might want to do something illegal.
You just kind of nailed it right there. You're right. Besides that part, it's like here's the thing. I have a good friend who fucking loves Disney, and he doesn't give a shit about the company. Like he's like the company sucks. I agree, but he's like, but Disney World's awesome, and I'm still gonna go. And like and I get that though. Like hey man, we only get one crack at this world. I get like wanting to have a good time at a cool place, and like I get that struggle of like, yeah, Disney, the company sucks, but like, fuck, I do want to go on that Star Wars ride. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's that struggle you have to like. I've never been to
here, I
Disney,
mean,
so I don't know.
I went to Disney World about 6 years ago at this point with my family. Before all this shit was, before I was thinking about politics really at all, and it sucks. It's a dismal fucking hellscape. I would have rather gone to Universal or any other park. Here's the problem with Disney World that Disneyland doesn't have. Disney World is fucking huge.
Mm-hmm.
And Americans are lazy fat people like me. And I don't want to walk 9 miles to go on a fucking roller coaster. And I mean, to give you an idea, you've got what, 5-6 parks in Disney World? I mean, we did 4 days there or 3 days there or something like that. And it was just constant walking back and forth. And not like, it would have been shitty for you or a skinny person to have like been there.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have been fun for anyone.
Yeah.
It's you're standing in the sun, you're walking back and forth from ride to ride, and then walking to a different park and taking these tramways. It's not enjoyable. Like, at least Disneyland is confined to Disneyland and it's somewhat easy to navigate. Disney World's just a fucking mess. And the only perk to it was like going to Epcot and getting drunk. But like, they've removed a lot of the alcohol and stuff like that from the parks now. I think the biggest thing that people could do would be, if you're planning vacations, don't go to Disney, go to Universal. Universal stayed completely silent during this. They do woke shit too in their films and production companies, but as far as the parks are concerned, they've been pretty good. And your kids are going to enjoy it just as much. I mean, you know, they got Jaws and cool shit, especially if you have kids that are like in that 10 to 15 age bracket. Those kids are going to go nuts over Universal way more than they would over because they're going to know the films. You know, it's. I think Universal just has less namesake, and so and in Florida too.
Yeah, I mean, so my wife, she could hear me now because she's got home, but like, she has to go every year because she's a teacher and she has to like do like the senior class trip down there, and she hates it.
It's really enjoyable.
Yeah, she hates it. Like, she fucking hates it because according to like, well, obviously she's like super hot. She's like super fucking humid, like you were saying. I know you like it, but most people don't.
So no, I don't like it that way because you have no. So like, right, if you're hanging out in Florida, you've got shade and air conditioning and things that you can get into. You're literally just out there.
Outside, yeah.
It's fucking, you're on the hot concrete, walking around on concrete the whole day. Like, it's
so she's like, that sucks. She's like, also they can't drink teachers because they have to like, you know, be like responsible. They also have to make sure these girls they're a bunch of fucking seniors.
Hey, if it was up to me, tell her if it was up to me, she should just stick them on one roller coaster, get the operator to keep that fucker on, and just head to the bar.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is like, she's like, we can't even like they're allowed to ride rides and stuff, but it's not even like, it's so time consuming. She's like, it's not fun.
Well, okay,
like, it
think
sucks.
about this. If you're a family, like I've got 4 brothers, so for us to go on a vacation, that means, you know, even with when my mom wasn't around, which she was then, that means you've got 7 people going to an amusement park. Well, okay, that is fucking expensive as shit.
Yeah,
I mean, you're gonna drop $1,000 just to get into the park. I mean, which is insane. And then you're gonna spend another $500 in food, and you're gonna spend another $500 in driving and fucking souvenirs and bullshit. You're gonna spend a couple grand on the hotel. Like, I don't know. I think the Disney problem might solve itself because the economy is going to get so bad. You're not going to have many families that are able to do that on a yearly basis anyway. And the ones that can are always going to go anyway, right? Those are the diehard Disney fans. Those are the people who have those. But the Florida people have turned against Disney from what I can see in the public persona pretty hardcore. So maybe push them into fucking California, you know, and tell them,
Go back.
Fuck you. You know, it depends on how hardball DeSantis decides to play it. You know, he has a lot of ability to fuck them.
But Disney's not going to have World and Land in Cali. That's crazy. They would have to. They would put it somewhere else in the East Coast. Like they probably move it to Georgia. Also, like that's the other thing too.
They'd
Like,
probably go to Vegas or something like that,
or maybe Vegas. But like it's so dude, that's so much like shit to move. It's almost like they're like, nah, dude, we're just dedicated to Florida now.
There's virtually impossible to move everything. But
like the money they would lose moving, especially across country,
it
would be
billions. Yeah, it would be billions.
Literally billions of dollars. Like it's crazy, dude. You can't do it.
It would get nuts. I mean, to give you an idea, they've constructed 2 mountains in Disney World. I mean, 2 literal mountains out of concrete. Yeah. So there's too much infrastructure there for them to just pick up and run with. Although it'd be funny to see them try.
Yeah, I think they're just kind of fucking stuck. Honestly, I think they're like, we're here. This is it. Like we just dug our heels in.
And it's Disney used to be the king, and in a sense they still are. But I also think, much like the mainstream media companies, they understand that people are not absorbing their content the same way anymore. People just don't like edited shit any longer. Like, and it's different. It's different posting a funny little 5-minute edit on Twitter or YouTube. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about long form stuff. People sitting down to watch a 2-hour piece of content these days they're watching more podcasts and radio shows and interviews than they are watching anything Disney's put out there in the last 30 years. So, when Rogan's latest episode of his podcast is getting more views than the newest episode of Moon Knight, then maybe that's a point that people need to start taking into account. And I think the media companies have, but those companies, they're not going to, they can't change the way that they're doing things. Because at this point, their entire message and kind of structure corporately is based around the fact that they are these people. They are the ones that are going to talk about these issues. If they were to switch up the way they were talking right now, they would gain the trust of a lot of people and say the right. But they'd lose so much traction on the one side that they built up for the last 20 years that they'd put their business back into the Stone Age.
It's weird to me how, again, the point of any business, obviously, is to make money. It doesn't matter where you lean politically. That's how you operate and stay open. So to go woke, I mean, not the cliche go woke, go broke thing, but that's kind of true. Unless you're very specifically woke and have a niche and people pay you, right? It's rare.
Here's the thing,
so usually most people go but they are going woke. The last Star Wars movies were absolute woke garbage.
Right. Yes.
Certain Marvel movies are, and then certain parts in Marvel movies are. I mean, that's a thing. So DC, all these fucking comic book movies, all these fucking movie companies are going so woke, and people are actively, you see it in the numbers, not watching. So at what point do they go, maybe this isn't a good money move for us as a company?
So it's the measurement of value. If we were talking about a pure capitalist free market situation, then this would make absolutely no sense, and they wouldn't be making this decision. The only reason that they're making these decisions to move their companies in these directions is because that is what the mainstream narrative and the government and the mainstream press pushes.
But how are they making money, though? That's what I'm saying.
Well, because they're making money in other ways. So they don't have to make monetary value in the sense of, we made $300 million on this movie and we're fucking loaded, right?
What are they making money off of?
They just have to stay even by getting enough people to go to the parks to fund the movies, right? Which they've done. They've been doing that for about 10 years now. And then all the profits, they don't really care about. I mean, they don't need to be uber profitable anymore because their stakeholders are going to be happy regardless, as long as their stock prices aren't affected to an insane degree. And because of Disney's pedigree, as far as a company goes, they can ride on that for 50 years if they wanted to, before they would have to really change anything, quote unquote. And when you look at what they're getting in form of woke points, right? Or you could bring up ESG, people will talk about that as an idea that might be tied into this. All of that could be possible, but what I look at it as is they're not getting monetary value out of this. What they're doing is getting publicity points out of it. They're getting media points out of it. They're getting government points out of it. Because you have to keep in mind, again, like, Disney gets grants. They get, just like any other massive corporation today, they utilize the government to do a lot of what they do.
Right.
So if the government that's in the White House is pushing the narrative that we need to be inclusive and be all inviting and all this stuff, well, then they're going to do the same thing because it makes sense for them from that perspective, whether they're losing money or not. And they're not really losing money. They're just not making any, right? And that's kind of the sense of what Twitter's doing too.
Right.
Is
they're breaking
Twitter
even.
has this offer on the table from Elon Musk, which according to their mission as board members, they should be taking in a second, but they're not going to because they don't care about the money. They care about the value of Twitter because of the platform
message, right? It holds
right. The same is true for Disney.
You control the method and the narrative.
Disney is the biggest media conglomerate on the face of the earth. Period. There's no one even that comes relatively close to them. There's no one else. So if you control that company or you can control what that company does, then you control the message that they put out. And the government and the cronyist system we have now supports Disney going this woke way, even though it's antithetical to them making profits. In the same way that it's antithetical to Twitter, or it doesn't work for Twitter to take this deal because then they lose that market cap in the public sector. Right? Fuck the private sector. Like, they don't want that. They don't want money because money is only really so powerful anymore, which is really kind of what the whole cronyist system is supposed to do in the first place, right? I mean, once the government has control of money and they get to choose where it goes, then it really kind of loses a big portion of its value because you can't trust it. So they get value in other ways, through media, through marketing, through the way that people talk about them. Look at H3H3, Ethan Klein.
Oh, dude, what a fucking
you see what's happening to this guy over the last day? So this guy's whole thing, and Jordan Peterson warned him of this. He said, if you keep placating to these woke type people, you keep doing this, you keep going down the Hassan Piker route, you're going to wind up getting canceled just like everybody else. And we're seeing that happen in real time. And it's happening because you can't ever be perfect.
Right.
So even with Disney, as big of a company as they are, even with Twitter, as big of a company as they are, all you need is them to slip up and do something. Like in the sense of this Florida bill that got all this stuff started, that's exactly what it was. They got caught with their pants down because they were supporting the politicians that were backing the quote-unquote don't say gay bill. And that was originally what caused the uproar against Disney. So they had to change their tune and come out against it. Well, if people want to really fuck them, if they're not buying their products, they will force them to start legitimately losing money. And then that's when when the company is really going to have to publicly start either changing what they're doing or going off the deep end in the other direction, which is a possibility too. I mean, they could go completely broke. We've never seen it happen from a company angle, but I think we're going to in the next few years. Some company is going to put all their resources in the woke basket, and it's going to completely bankrupt them.
Right. I agree. Dude, yeah, fuck Disney. We can end it on fuck Disney chant. Dude, Leighton, thank you so much for coming on, dude. That was fun as fuck. The comic conversation was fun, and the woke conversation was always fun as always. Hang out, don't get off, so say goodbye off air. But everybody out there who watched and listened or will listen in the future, thank you very much as always for supporting. Again, coming out next week, April 30th, New Hampshire. Droptent.com/events for tickets. Get your tickets. Come on out. Peace out.
It's
Bye.
in the slightly gayer Florida.
Slightly gayer Florida, guys. Go to slightly gayer Florida. Bye.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG @Adam Nutter, or Facebook and TikTok @Adam Nutter Comedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
This has been a Drop Tent Media production.